You're listening to Power Talks with Beth Ann and Melody Cedarstrom in the morning, where talk is real. There's truth in the talk. Truth is in the talk. There's power in truth, and I guess I just washed my tongue. You can't do a thing with it. So we're going to start our Friday. I believe we're going to have Open Mic Friday. Melody is with me today, and we are going to open the phone lines at 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. Say good morning, Melody. How are you doing?
Good morning, and good morning to you and the listeners. It's great to be here at TGIF.
That's right, TGIF. We're having phone issues again, so if I sound a little strange, it's normal for me to be strange, but that's for the reason, because I'm still having Skype problems. For some reason, Skype doesn't like me.
Well, ever since Microsoft took over, Skype doesn't like anyone. Never had issues prior to Microsoft. Now, all these tech companies have to change things and, have all these updates and everything. So it's gets a little frustrating. They wait till we get used to something, and then they improve it. And then we're in trouble. New and improved is not always better. Exactly.
But we're going to have open mic. I did guess that. See, she and I didn't get to talk before the show, so we're kind of going blind here. But we are doing open mic, right? Open Mic Friday?
Absolutely. It's Friday, and that gives us a chance to sit back and enjoy the listeners.
That's right. 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. I know I do an open mic. I call it Free for All Friday on CSC Talk Radio, and it's one of my favorite days because I do get to listen to the listeners, and it's just, I don't know, it's a special kind of a show because they get to talk. Now, yesterday we talked, and I'll tell you what, I ended up doing a show with the question like we did on the JFK files, where everyone was, and it was so emotional. I had lots of callers, and it was so emotional, Melody, at what you and I had talked about, the details that we remember as a kid on that day. Well, those files were sort of kind of released yesterday. Not quite all the way released. And the president's not real happy about it, but he went ahead and granted their wishes for the next 6 months, and Congress is to review, and then they are to make a decision. So he wasn't real happy about it, but he did what the CIA and the FBI were making appeals for. And this article says here that, where is it? It's in the very last one. It says that they think there could be some embarrassing, it says that doesn't allow the president, for example, to hold some records back just because it might be embarrassing to agencies or their people. So they're claiming one thing, but anyway, and of course we talked a little bit about that yesterday. And now he's giving Congress 6 months. I don't know if that's long enough for them. They can't seem to get anything done in 6 months, but he's giving them 6 months to review those and get them released if possible. So that's where we are with that.
Well, whatever. If they didn't have, 54 years to clean up the mess, I don't think another 6 months is going
54 years.
But, I have my own conspiracy theory.
Well, and, it makes even more conspiracy theories come out because they won't release it all. It just heightens that. As it's the same thing that's going on with this Las Vegas situation. The more messed up it is, the more conspiracies that are going to come out of people's ideas and thoughts. Wow, this must be such and such, or this could be that and that, and this and that, and it's just truth sets you free.
Well, you know what? It's sort of like kind of where we are in the world today. The world is just so aflush in lies and mistruths, and, people doubt, everything that they're, being told, and it's good to question everything. I question everything, and I think that's the way, what you have to do in order to find the truth. But, if they would have released this information, 54 years ago, we wouldn't, you probably wouldn't have. I mean, it would have been put to bed and, be done with, and certainly not the distortions and everything else that we face today. But it's just another sign of the time. We're just so tired of being lied to. Why are things being withheld for us? For the benefit of our good. Please, we can handle the truth. We can. We can. Maybe some can, but most of us, I think, we can. When you can handle the truth is when you've been lied to for for so long, and to where people's thinking has been distorted, and then the truth comes along, and it's like, wow, really? But I don't know why. I can't imagine what would be in there. The only interesting thing that I thought, I was watching some of the news programs, they were talking about Ted Cruz's father when Trump brought him up during the campaign, and I thought to myself, wouldn't that have been interesting that Trump didn't release the balance of these files, maybe because there was a reference in there to his father. I'm speculating. This is my conspiracy theory. Allow me to have it. It's TGIF.
It is. It's TGIF.
It's TGIF, and we know Cruz's approval rating is certainly, not very good, but President Trump needs him in order to get these tax cuts done and everything like that. And I don't know, I just thought 6 months was an unusual amount of time. Why not a year? Or, this is what I can do now, and, maybe we'll review this after, so I don't know. It's probably nothing that's in there, and it probably just shows the CIA and the FBI as bubbling agents that, things that should have been followed up or not followed up or something along the lines. But I don't think anyone or very few people truly believe that, it happened as what we've been told. Although I did hear one guy this morning on news that did say, well, I believe what he was told. But, you have to follow where his paycheck comes from, and, maybe that's what he has to support. But I think very few people truly believe it happened the way we've been told.
There was one that was on last night with, I watched so many of them, and then I watch them a second time, a lot of times in the evenings. But I think it was Tucker Carlson, and the guy was on there, and he wrote a book. And Tucker said, I read your book and I believe it. But it was to say these conspiracy theories have no standing. And this guy was anxious to see these files so it could, confirm what his book says. And then the other guy that was on there, he was just saying the files need to be released and da-da-da-da-da. But it's, and they were both, all three of them were saying it's just continuing the distrust and the conspiracy theories that the people have, and rightfully so. When you tell them, well, you can't see what really happened, then they're going to start thinking, oh, something happened, other than what we've been told. And obviously, of course, maybe it was that also that some of these departments weren't quite as what's the word? Competent. They like to claim to be, but maybe they were just as corrupt back then as they seem to be today.
Well, there was an FBI memo that relayed unconfirmed speculation. The note was from the KGB, and they thought that, they were in possession of data that indicated LBJ. And
I've heard that before.
I think most of the people believe that LBJ had something to do with it. Even
just
Mr.
to go
Kennedy.
way out there. The man I used to work for, Derry Brownfield, he had all kinds of newspaper articles that he just had, stacked up, and I was supposed to figure out how to file all of them. And there was one on the JFK assassination, but this one was aiming at Jacqueline because of his continued
affairs,
unfaithfulness that she had him taken out.
I said that a long time ago.
And that the one she ended up with helped her do it. And so anyway, that was another one of the theories that said she was the only one not surprised. It was like, well, I don't know about that.
You know what, Beth? It's funny. I don't know who said that, but I said that a long time ago, kiddingly. I said it was probably Jackie. I mean, think about what she. Think about truly. No, here you are, the first lady. Here you are, the first lady, and you know she was from a powerful family, and she. You know, here your husband is having affairs with, you know, the world is, you know, behind and laughing about it. You have babies, you know, that you're trying to protect and everything.
Do you remember she also had a miscarriage while she was first lady?
Yeah. So, you know, that to me, that theory, sometimes it's the most obvious that, you know, but that's what I said. That's what I said a long time ago.
Well, I read a pretty lengthy article about it, and I thought, oh my, I hadn't heard that one. So
no, you know, and
well,
look
I wasn't
and you're right.
To you back then, I guess.
And look who she did marry. I mean, it's very powerful people. Right. And but how could you live having your husband having affairs under your nose, under the, you know, in the same home?
Hillary did. Hillary did. She didn't care. She didn't care that he was having the affair. She just cared that he kept getting caught.
But she was having them too. And I mean, she has her own skeletons.
You don't think?
She had other reasons to stay together with him, and I don't think Mrs. Kennedy had the same reasons. I mean, you know, Hillary was, you know, she wanted to move up in the ranks, and everything that, you know, wherever she's gotten in life, a lot of it is due to, you know, riding the coattails of Bill Clinton, and you know, with the arrangements and relationships that he cultivated. With, you know, and I'm not saying they're good relationships, not at all, but I mean that's how she got anywhere. If you go back and, you know, see how she got into various positions, and she was appointed by Bill's friends and, you know, so forth. So, and everything was covered up for her. So, I mean, you know, she wasn't a good person to begin with. So, stand by my man. Yeah, I can see her doing it because she had a lot more.
And then there was Oka.
She had an agenda.
Oka. I can't even say her name this morning.
Pardon?
Oka. Oh, the Beatles gal, I can't think of her name. Anyway, she claims she had an affair with Hillary. So,
wow.
Oh, I can't think of her name. I'm lost. One of our listeners will figure it out. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. The Beatles gal. It was so liberal.
Oh no.
Say her name. Oh no.
Yoko?
Ono Yoko. Crazy man. Crazy
Yoko,
woman.
Yoko Ono. Yoko Ono.
Yoko Ono.
They were my favorites.
I had the Oko somewhere in there. Anyway, she came out and claimed she had an affair with Hillary.
Well, anything's possible, but
I know.
I wasn't a fan of the Beatles in their later years, their early years, but not their later years. They got too, you know, out there.
A little too. Yeah, they were way out there. They're
a little too. Yeah. So we're still waiting for some calls from
our listeners. It is Open Mic Friday. It's 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. Well, of course, the Democrat Party is kind of scrambling. Well, before we get into that, I want to mention this. This is kind of a sad thing, and it actually was the day that President Donald Trump talked about the opioid addiction and that it's a crisis here in the United States. The Eric Bolling's son that died here about a month ago or so, that came out with the report yesterday that it was an opioid overdose. It says it was an accidental one. It was mixed with some other medications or something anyway. It was kind of strange that happened on the same day that we're talking about the opioids and the addiction, and and yet you see the commercials for them yet on TV, So it's a sad time. We're going into a break. It is Open Mic Friday, where we want to hear what you have to say at 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Have you seen the Left Behind movies? Have you read the Left Behind fictional book series? Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. Because they see the world stage shaping to fulfill what they have been led to believe is sound biblical interpretation, a left behind rapture scenario, this false view of prophecy is reinforced in the mind, not only of its adherents, but also includes those who have been merely exposed to the specific media. Is it possible that false prophecy can be fulfilled? The rapture theories have always been in dispute. Pre-trib, mid-trib, and post-trib disputes have risen up in exclusively evangelical circles of recent history, so that when true believers don't suddenly disappear, this element will easily go by the wayside when all see a new Jewish temple begin to be built. Will this be part of the great delusion that will come upon the whole earth? It seems that this great prophetic delusion has already overcome practically the entire American evangelical and Christian world. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. To learn more, visit crosstheborder.org. That's CROSS, crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
We are having a heck of a time communicating between the two of us. It is almost comical. Actually, it is pretty comical. Today is Open Mic Friday. We want to hear from you. 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. Power Talks, and we believe the power is in the people, the republic, and that is you. And this is your day. Open mic, we'll talk about almost anything you want to talk about at 717-300-1218. There we go. That's the number out there. We're going to wait for him to call here. What have you got? You got anything? I gave us sad news before we went to the break, but do you have anything on your side there?
Well, the first reading on third quarter GDP was up 3.0% versus 2.5% rise that was expected. And I don't know how much of the hurricanes and so forth. Well, that was that might have had some impact, but I don't know. So, but they're able to adjust 3 times on the GDP as far as as far as the final number that they decide to. And I just heard a beep. I don't know. Do we have a caller? Beth? I lost Beth. So Global Todd is our producer's calling her back, and so I hope we haven't lost any listeners out there. But she'll be back soon. So anyway, with the U.S. economy unexpectedly maintained a brisk pace of growth in the third quarter, and now I'm getting feedback. Are you there, Beth? Hello, Beth. Yes.
There we are. Now I have an echo. This is all my fault. It's in Missouri today. I don't know what's going on, but
you know what's interesting on Monday. And I hear an echo too, so I don't know if that's going out on the air. So now this shouldn't scare away any callers. This is it'll make it even more fun. But Monday, I believe it was, my security system went down, and when I was trying to get it back up, the security company told me that the whole East Coast, it was attached to AT&T, was down. And something had happened to the towers, and I tried to find information on it to, follow up to see if there was a reason or something like that. And I get, there's glitches and things like that, but usually the systems, if they're hacked later on, that they will. They come out months later and say, oh, yeah, we were hacked. But so it's kind of interesting. So maybe there is something going on with the phone systems or something like that. So, but I don't, so who knows? Is Beth back?
I am back. I am back again. You lost me twice. I'm back again. I'm going to give the number for the listeners. We really want to hear from you. 717-300-1218. 717-300-1218. This is kind of an interesting article just because of the absurdity. And I didn't get a chance to really study it, just kind of skimmed it.
Well, before you go, we do have a caller.
Oh, I'm okay. See, I can't communicate, so I don't know. Okay.
We have Neil from Missouri calling us.
Oh. Neil from Missouri.
Perhaps.
I think we lost him. Well, let me go on with this absurdity, this absurd story here, and while we wait on Neil to get back with us.
No, he's going to be back in 2 seconds.
He is, but I'm going to go ahead anyway.
All right.
Harvey Weinstein, sues for emails he says may exonerate him. He's suing the company he worked for, which was his own company, to try and get his emails. It says Harvey Weinstein says he can help the film studio he co-founded clear itself of alleged wrongdoing if he can get a hold of his own personal file and emails he wrote on the job. The movie producer sued the Weinstein Company Thursday to force it to turn over records that it refused this month to provide to his lawyers. Weinstein, he's 65 years old, was fired from his post as chief executive officer of the Weinstein Company 3 weeks ago after the New York Times and the New Yorker published accounts in which several women accused him of sexual harassment and even rape. He has denied any non-consensual sexual activity. He doesn't deny the harassment, but just that. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. So he's suing the company that he worked for, which he actually founded, I do believe, and it just can't get any crazier than what this world is that we're in. I guess it can. It can always get crazier.
Yes, we are in a sad state of affairs, that's for sure. We do have Neil.
We've fallen away, as you know. We've fallen away from God. We see these stories like Weinstein and Weiner, and of course Clinton, and the others, Eric Bolling, and I don't want to exclude the others on the conservative side, but we see all these. Bill Cosby and all these things that come out, and you can't help but go back to what General Kelly said about things that used to be sacred that no longer are, and women. He mentioned women in that, women and life, and he talked about religion, nothing being sacred anymore, and you can see how the left attacks. The left will use the women. You know, we've seen what some of the TV shows, the comedians, the late-night comedians, what they do to women, and it's just, you know, how they use them and abuse them and just act like they're nothing, you know, parade them.
Boy, do I miss Johnny Carson. Anyway, we got Neil back on the line with us.
Oh, good. Neil, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. You know, this thing with the Kennedy assassination, the same people responsible for his death were responsible for the death of Lady Jane Grey and her husband back in the, I believe it was the 1400s. Her and her husband were both murdered. She was Queen of England for like 9 days. Her and her husband, they were like 18 and 19 years old. And what she did to get herself killed was she issued an order to the Treasurer of the Exchequer to reissue silver coins back into circulation. See, this whole scam with the with the banksters goes way back. You know, I mean, it actually goes all the way back to Babylon. But Lady Jane Grey and her husband were executed for attempting to put silver coins back in circulation as the money in England, because the banksters were issuing their paper notes and issuing them without any backing, and they didn't want the Queen and King interfering with their scam. Well, the same scam is what got Kennedy killed. Kennedy, 2 weeks before he was assassinated, authorized the issuance of U.S. Treasury notes back in circulation. Okay, well, the Federal Reserve didn't want Treasury notes in circulation because you don't pay any interest to the banksters on Treasury notes like you do on Federal Reserve notes. Now, this not only happened to Kennedy, it happened to Reagan. As soon as he authorized, you know, the 1 ounce silver Walking Liberty coins that are issued by the U.S. Treasury, those coins are official U.S. currency. Reagan made it so. A few weeks later, he was shot. Lincoln issued his own paper called Lincoln Greenbacks to finance the Civil War, which paid no interest to the banksters who thought they were going to make a fortune by financing the war for the North and the South both. That was the Rothschild brothers doing that. But the Greenbacks got Kennedy shot because the banksters made no interest on their notes. Andrew Jackson put the National Bank under, called them a den of vipers, den of thieves. They'd made 7 attempts on his life. The War of 1812. Yeah. The only thing that saved him was being a former general. He had his own military staff guarding him.
Okay, just to deviate from, just to chase a little rabbit here. When everybody talks about President Donald Trump and they don't like how he says this or how he says this or what he does when he tweets and how he fights back and you know, when he gets attacked he fights back, I think of Old Hickory Stick. Do you think that he was presidential? I'm using the little quotes in the air. Presidential in the eyes of today's politicians that want to wear their fancy suits while they're robbing the people blind.
Right. Anyway, even the War of 1812 was over the national banking system. You know, they had voted down the National Bank, put the National Bank under. Britain attacked because they're in league with the international banksters, and they attacked, and the War of 1812 was fought, and they wouldn't sign the treaty ending the war until the U.S. government agreed to reinstitute the national banking system. So all these assassinations, all this throughout, you know, going back hundreds of years, all goes back right to the international banksters and the scams.
All goes back to follow the money
with their phony paper. You know, their paper has no backing to it. It isn't backed by any kind of gold, silver, or anything else. It's just them using their paper, printing it, and using it to steal from the people. So I think
follow the money.
Some of this may come out when they eventually release these papers, these Kennedy's papers. You know, that people who really were behind all these assassinations going all the way back.
Well, it'll be interesting. They've got 6 months. 6 months. We'll see what they do with it. All right. Thank you, Neil. Appreciate it.
If they don't kill Trump in the meantime.
Well, that is a concern. That is a deep concern. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Neil. Appreciate the call. Are you still there, Melody?
Yes, I am.
All right.
I mean, he is absolutely right. I mean, you don't mess with the banksters' money, and of all the problems this country's ever had from, through its history, we've had booms and busts, and who's behind it all? It's always the banksters, and it's always the elite. It's always, and they promote it, and they've tried central banks, they failed, and they finally were able to get one in 1913, and here we are today with the problems that we have. The people suffer. The people never truly get ahead. They're just made to believe that they are. There's been we have, good times and bad times, but, he is absolutely correct. And one thing I'll have to say about President Trump, I think he knows the risk, and I think that is part of why he tweets and everything. Because I think it is a way of staying out there in the limelight, particularly with the media. You use the media for your protection. And I think, he knows that, and I think that's part of why he does it. And, because as he's exposing, there's a lot of attention. So, we also have Joe in Arkansas calling us today. Good morning, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, good morning. I'm doing pretty well, and how are y'all?
We're doing good. We just can't see or talk to each other. We're doing good. How are you doing, Joe?
Well, I can't see you either, so that makes it even. But what I called about, I think Neil is absolutely right about who really killed Kennedy. And it looks to me like what's finally going to beat the bankers is the Bitcoin and these other cryptocurrencies that are developing. It's like because it looks like, without anybody making a lot of noise about doing this to beat the bankers, looks like these cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and all that, is going to replace, the government money. And because it seems to be, just because that seems to be the way the world is going. Personally, I don't like it. I don't like the computer age. I don't like to have to do things on the internet. I don't like to have to do things on the computer. I don't like to have to electronically transfer money with debit cards and all this kind of stuff. And I haven't bought any Bitcoin or anything like that just because it's so complicated and not something I like to do. And, I'm very busy with other things, and I don't like to spend a lot of time on the computer. But that seems to be the way all the young people are going now. And it really looks to me like Bitcoin is becoming so valuable now, and, gold and silver are kind of just staying steady, kind of languishing, not going anywhere particularly, mainly because Bitcoin is useful. It's a useful currency these days, in the days of everything being done over the internet, whereas it's very clumsy to do any business with gold and silver. And so, unless the internet goes down, unless this whole electronic grid that runs the world these days goes down, which, really I think is unlikely. There's all the talk about the EMPs and stuff like this. But I think it's probably here to stay, like all these other modern inventions, like the automobile and like the electric lights and like the telephone and all these things that maybe were considered fads when they first came out, but they sure are here to stay now. So I kind of suspect that's what's going to beat the bankers is the increasing use of Bitcoin and the other cryptocurrencies, that people just go to because they're what's useful and convenient now, and not because there's a lot of, politics or philosophy or anything like that behind it.
Well, I don't think you can write off the bankers that quickly. They're not going to, I don't think Bitcoin is going to eliminate the bankers, and we don't even know who developed Bitcoin. It could even be their own government agency that developed it. We don't know. And I'm not so sure it's not money. You have governments that are beginning to make some of these exchanges, like China and so forth, illegal. They're shutting them down. Bitcoin, we all know, is not a replacement for the value of gold. Who's going to want to buy a Bitcoin at $6,000? So I'm not so sure. I do believe that we eventually will be ushered into a cashless society. I believe that's, the trend for the youth. They're willing to embrace they love taking pictures of their checks and having them deposited. That's great. But I'm not sure exactly where the cryptocurrencies come into play, and I don't think they'll maybe their importance would only become after we become a cashless society, or the system that where it was created on would be used, the blockchain. But I don't think it will replace gold and silver, and I'm not saying that just because I sell gold and silver. There's a reason why gold and silver has always been viewed as money, and I don't think you'll see Bitcoin ever viewed as money. So, not in our time, 100 years from now maybe. But there's a lot that happens between now and then. There's a lot of bumps. There's a lot of, there's a lot of things that we're going to see big changes when it comes to monetary policy.
What do you, because it's kind of a foreign thing to me, and I don't know if Joe is still on or not, but what about this Bitcoin is, with all the hacking and the stealing of identities that's going on now with so-called security companies, with the American people, those who invest in the Bitcoin, and is there a higher risk of theft with that?
Well, I guess we don't have them on the phone anymore, but
okay.
Those are always the risks, where you have the hacking and no privacy. But you got to remember, Bitcoin is nothing but ones and zeros. Everything on the computer is ones and zeros. Ones and zeros. It's not real. What happens if those ones all of a sudden turn into zeros? And I get the mentality of the youth. They're willing to embrace technology. They need to be, things need to continue to change and to become better, because they're going to continue to make money on it. So this is something that isn't going to go away. And you have to look at Bitcoin and these cryptocurrencies. They're really used on the dark web. So it's, I don't know, it's a new world. And as with Joe, do I like it? Well, I'm concerned about it. And I think we have lots of problems we face before we are ready to accept Bitcoin as our way that we're all going to have Bitcoin wallets, and we're all going to be doing buying and so forth with our Bitcoins and other cryptocurrencies. To me, I think it's a fad. I think it's a bubble. I don't think it can replace gold. I don't think there'll be anything that ever replaces gold. You have China that's ready to back their currencies. They're ready to sell oil or buy oil with the Saudis in gold-backed futures. So, it's an interesting world, and there's big changes that are coming. But I don't know how soon these, the end of these changes are actually entered into our daily lives.
Well, I agree, and it is. The Bitcoin is kind of a foreign thing to me. I know I watched a video. I almost sent it to you. This is several weeks ago. I watched a video on it, and as I was listening and watching this video, these two people were talking about it, and the one had been adamantly against Bitcoin and had actually switched his mind, had changed his mind. And so they were having their discussion about the Bitcoin, and like I said, it's kind of over my head because I haven't followed that very closely. And but the one had, like I said, he had been totally against it, and now he was turning around and saying he thought it was going to be a good thing.
Well, yeah,
I just don't see that. It seems to be like it's a pretend piece of currency, and I don't know how that's going to work out.
Well, yeah, you're right. It's not real. I told somebody when Bitcoin had dropped down to like 2,000, I said, you know what, I'm going to go buy some Bitcoin. And they said to me, well, why would you want to do that? I said, it's nothing. It's like, yeah, I know it's nothing, but yeah, this is going to run. I said, this is going to run. And I said, who knows where it might go? So I wanted to get on the back. And he says, well, why would you want a wallet of Bitcoin? It's nothing. He says, it's just like buying a euro. He says, and then you have to convert it. There's so many fees and, blah, blah, blah. And, I says, yeah. I says, you know what? My heart is gold. I says, I believe in gold. I understand gold. I used to play options, and I did very well. I used to play gold options, and I did very well. And the partner that I had, that when we played, he said to me one day, he says, he says, we could be making a ton of money in this, and if there's a financial problem, we could never get our money. And it's like, you know what, you're right, and I never played again, because it could all disappear in a snap. And people think, oh, well, that's not going to happen. They're not going to let these computers. That's always a period of time. You have to prove most of the time. It could go through litigation, your brokers and so forth. Who knows if they're going to have the money to, when people start selling, who knows if they're going to have the money to liquidate these accounts. And the next thing you know, they're not answering your phone. The next thing you know, you're waiting to get your money. You can't get your money out. The next thing you know, you have to litigate. The next thing you know, you're $100,000 and going to your attorneys to find out, where your money is and, how much of it is you're going to get back. So there's a lot of risk out there at this point in time. It's not like we're 50 years in the future and all this has been, filtered through and confirmed and seasoned. It's not seasoned.
I was going to say, but as all the paper currency comes and goes, the silver and the gold stay.
It's always there. There's a reason.
There. They're consistent. They're constant. That doesn't mean they're, I know that the market on them keeps going up and down, but they are there.
There's a reason God said the gold and silver is mine. The gold is mine and the silver is mine. There's a reason why it's here. There's a reason why gold has been the monetary metal for thousands and thousands. Folks, not 100 years, not 50 years, but thousands of years. Thousands. It's not going to go away.
No, not going to go away. We are, for just a couple of minutes, though. We're going into a commercial break. It is Open Mic Friday. Your calls are welcome. We'll talk about almost anything you want to talk about at 717-300-1218, 717-300-1218. It's Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann, and you today. The power is in the people. That's you. 717-300-1218, Melody and Beth Ann. We'll be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. We are here. We're connected. We're having issues with the phones, and I guess I shouldn't confess that, but it is true. I'm on a regular old common phone line, and the rest of them are on Skype. So I'm the one that's having issues, and I don't know what it is. Skype doesn't like me. But it is Open Mic Friday, and we are in the final segment, so if you had something to want to say, you better get her done at 717-300-1218, 717-300-1218. It's been interesting talking about the Bitcoin. I don't know a whole lot about that. I do believe in the gold and the silver, and I believe in what Melody does. And I want to remind you, she was telling us earlier this week about the bubble bulletin that she's going to have, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, that she's going to have his article, and that's going to be on Monday when that comes out. So you need to go to dgscoins.com, sign up for the newsletter, dgscoins.com, and I can't remember the name of the article or anything, but excuse me, I've really got a tickle. But that's going to be on Monday. I wrote that down so we could remember.
Yeah, it really is, and we have other writers in there, and they all do an extremely fine job for the for American Survival newsletter. So make sure you go to the website dgscoins.com and sign up. We were running a special all week long. It's a very popular special. It's a 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagle along with 21-ounce American Silver Eagles, and of course the Silver Eagles are dated 2017. I adjusted the price yesterday when gold and silver were down, and gold is up today. Silver is kind of holding its own from yesterday's prices, so it's a good day to pick up this package at $545, and that does include your shipping costs, $545, and a 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagle and 20 Silver Eagles. 1-800-375-4188. That's 1-800-375-4188. Please make sure you give us a call. Carla's there waiting for your phone number or for your call. And we have Kevin in Ohio calling us. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kevin.
You have good connection?
Yes. Yes. We hear you.
Yes. Hi. I'd like the conversation about the value of gold. Quite a while back, I tried to research where the real value of gold came from, and I've never found a solid answer. The first place you can ever find it in the Bible is in Genesis 2:11, 2:12. And in there, God's just saying, and the gold of Havilah was good gold. And he tells where it's at in around Eden and so forth. And it's still been just a question I've never been able to find an answer to. Why gold was selected as a value? It's a hard question to pose verbally.
Well, I might have an answer for you.
Go ahead, let's go.
Okay. Well, it is a good question. And, why didn't some other element become the item that we use for money? And there was a chemical engineer at Columbia University, and he went through the periodic table, and he went and explained why all the other elements just wouldn't work. So it comes back to God did create gold for this to be the monetary metal because nothing else works. Right off the bat, he explains that the rightmost column of the element table gets X'd because they're gases. So that would be problematic for obvious reasons. You have 38
Sure.
more elements that get the boot for being too reactive. They corrode or ignite when they're exposed to air. The two rows hanging at the bottom are radioactive, so that wouldn't be any good either. So we're already down from 118 elements to 30, and this is just a quick look at why gold was chosen. And he goes on to talk about you want the metal to be rare, but not too rare. That leaves 5 precious metals: rhodium, palladium, silver, platinum, and gold. Silver is good, but it tarnishes. Rhodium and palladium weren't discovered until the early 1800s, so they're out.
Yeah, they're later. Yeah.
They're later. And platinum's melting point is over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, so you would need a serious furnace to melt and shape it into coins. And a furnace more advanced than the one needed, wasn't developed. So that leaves us with gold. And
that's a good logical. Yes, go ahead. But I hope to. Sorry to interrupt you, but it's a good logical treatise on that. I like that.
Yeah.
But it's still God did bring it up in the Bible, and so I think the root is there. And if he's logically deduced it to that from the periodic table, that's pretty good. That is real good.
Yeah,
that's very good.
So, yes, God, there's a reason. If you go to God's Word, He gives us reasons for everything. And
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I want to bring up subject 2. There's a terrible thing. I hate talking about the illnesses of the country, the world, but I believe that our Surgeon General should be out on the West Coast arresting that Governor Brown for making people not subject to a felony for giving blood that have HIV. And so he's going to contaminate the whole blood system in the United States, and I think he needs arrested. Because there's a similar article, about how it plays out. There in Maryland this week, I read about somebody that had an HIV infection and had consensual or had sex with teenagers or something, 40-some people or something like that, and they're killing people. So that's just another statement about the current condition in the world. It's terrible to have to talk about these subjects.
It is, Kevin. So, I agree. It's some of these things we never dreamed we would have to contend with, and it is just astronomical what's going on, the immorality.
That's true.
It's
that is true.
such a falling away from God, and that's why we have many of the diseases that we have, and they can be controlled.
That's true. But, my mother has one.
Say that again.
Well, my mother has one I dealt with all day yesterday again. After 8 years, we continuously treat her for a MRSA infection she was given in a Vegas hospital. They implanted a knee replacement with MRSA in it, put it in her knee, and she's had a MRSA infection ever since. It's put her in hospital for multiple times over 8 years and constantly having outbreaks of it.
Oh, wow.
So,
wow. Well, we'll be praying for her.
And I met Amish clear back in the early 90s that had AIDS in Indiana, and it was because they had blood transfusion. So it really strikes home when you hear these things.
It's scary. It's scary. It really is. Well, Kevin, thank you. Thank you for your call. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, back at the first of the month, Governor Jerry Brown, California, signed the bill that lowered from a felony to a misdemeanor the crime of knowingly exposing a sexual partner to HIV. So, it truly is. I mean, it's like, so you can now knowingly, and there's reported cases everywhere of this happening. That people knowingly do this, and I can't. understand the reason why, except that, what would be the point of moving it from a felony to a misdemeanor? I can't figure that one out. But when he talked about MRSA, the I don't know what you want to call it, the infection. A friend of mine had contracted it in Missouri, and I had visited her. And when I found out that she had it, I went to my doctor to make sure I didn't have it. And he told me, he says, most everyone in the hospital is a carrier because they're exposed to it. And I was like, but what do you do for it? He says, well, our immune system usually will fight it. And I'm thinking to myself, that's just not good enough. I mean, people should be aware that these are problems when you go to hospitals. And hospitals aren't what they once were when, they were so clean. And you could walk in and you could smell the disinfectant. And no longer.
Well, there's such a problem. I hear the music. We're about to go off the air. There's such a problem.
Another day, another topic.
Head lice and ticks, and that's because they took away DDT, which is not as harmful as they... But anyway, we're going away for the weekend. We pray that you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll be back with you on Monday because Power Talk.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn, the Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.